Hey y'all, it's Denise, and I'm in my studio today doing something really fun. I'm taking some of my old artwork, oil paintings on canvas that have been laying around forever. I cut some chunks of wood, 4x4 chunks of wood, and stick around and see what I do with them. Okay, let's get started. First, let me give you a little peek at what we're doing. I am taking old paintings, just exactly like this, old oil paintings that I don't do this style of painting anymore, but these are kind of fun little paintings that I've had hanging around forever. And I'm creating art blocks. This one is Who Loves a Garden? And it was a little contemporary abstract I did of fruits and vegetables, a little still life. Really loved that little painting and didn't want to give it up, so I just have a new way of showing it. So let's get started with, here's my painting on canvas. What I did with several of the paintings is they were on canvas board, and they're oil paints, so I just set them in a sink full of water and let the board get softened so I could rip all the paper off and then remove the canvas from the board and the paper. It worked great. I didn't ruin my paintings. I didn't ruin the canvas, didn't get stretched out. It just got rid of all of the papers that I didn't need. To make life a little easier, what I did is I went ahead and found papers that worked with the colors I already had. So I have a huge stash of papers. I have papers I made on my jelly plate. I have palette papers that when I'm done painting, I smear the paint and keep the papers. More jelly plate. This is an old piece of wallpaper. Another jelly plate that has some text in it. Another jelly plate that has some of the muted colors. And then I pull some odds and ends that I think might tie in well. So I'm going to work on, I believe this is a 7-inch by 4-inch by 4-inch piece of wood. And I went to Home Depot, and for under $10, I bought an 8-foot piece of 4x4. It's actually like 3.5 by 3.5. I never understand why lumber yards do that. But in any case, fortunately for myself, I have a chop saw, so I could chop these to the sizes that I wanted. But if you go into Home Depot or whatever your lumber yard is, with the dimensions that you want, the lengths that you want, they'll just cut them up for you there. And then once I got them cut, I rough sanded them. I put a coat of gesso on them, and I'm ready to go. So now, let me decide which part of this painting I want to save. I do love the little church. I could literally wrap this whole thing and call it a day. Of course, I'm not going to do that, but boy, that would make it easy. I do love this big yellow tree. I love the little church, and I like that pink. So what I'm going to do, first of all, decide the height that I want for this little church. And I kind of like it right there. I don't think it's going to be a big deal if I cut off part of the fence line. So let me get my ruler back, and maybe I could just make a nice straight cut right across the bottom, because I don't really need that part of the painting. And I'm going to use my shears to cut that. And I can save this and use it for scraps for something else. I don't throw any of that away. So now I know that my block, double checking my measurement, is, whoops, wrong way, is exactly 7 inches. So I'm going to measure up 7 inches on this little guy. Again, I'm going to save this little trim piece. I know I'll be able to use that. So first I want to figure out my main pieces. That I really like. Okay, got that. I like that. That's going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm using my regular gel, Golden's, and this is a gloss medium, and I'm putting it on pretty heavy because this wood has a texture to it, a little bit of a texture that I want to make sure I get the gel medium inside all of that texture. I love working with the canvas. It goes down really nicely and it stays put. So I'm liking that. How about, love this guy. So I want to get him on here somewhere. Let me go in 4 inches. And I'm just randomly picking things because, you know, I just kind of make it up as I go along. And whatever feels right. I don't really have a big plan going in other than picking out the painting that I want to use and the papers that I think might go with it. Let's see how far over I can take that. I think right to there is good. Okay, here we go again. Now I'm going to add this onto this edge. It's all going to come over to this edge. Line this up. Here's my little catalyst. I do like to use either my catalyst, my little silicone spreader, or my bowl scrapers to really get that down and to smooth out any of the medium that's going to pop through there or squish through. Now I need a little bit more over on this side. I will say I did go through a lot of medium working on these, of the gel medium, just to make sure that everything was going to be down nice and solid. And there is a wood grain to these chunks of wood that don't really bother me that that it shows up. I just want to make sure that everything really, really sticks down. So that's what I've got so far. Let's think about this. It doesn't have to everything go vertically. Maybe what I want to do is take a section out of here. Okay, this is going to be kind of crazy. And we cut right through the middle. I'm going to have some really lovely scraps to use on something else. So I could continue this along this way. I don't care if that matches up. Then I've got some really sweet little things to add in here. It could be adding in and making this a little botanical piece. I've got some cool, that I'm going to save that. There's so many fun things to add in because I have 6 sides to think about here. This could also go on the top. And I really like those, canvas on the top and the bottom. It makes them a little bit sturdier. Now, because the canvas has a little bit more thickness to it, I do like to put papers underneath, the thinner papers underneath it instead of on top of it. So that looks good. And then I could take this. I know I'm jumping ahead by adding a trim piece. And I can line that right up with the thickness of the canvas. So you've got the little pink tree going all the way up. And then I'm going to repeat with this coming down. I like it. I like it. I like it. Now, especially when you're using papers like out of a magazine, or this is a paper that has a shine to it, you're going to want to pay attention because those are usually the papers that want to buckle. All right, so I've got that going into this. Kind of a weird little transition, so I may have to do something there. We've got that. We've got this. Easily can do this up on the top. So I'm going to measure that out. Now the ends are a little trickier because they have, and that's another reason I like to put the canvas on top, because there's a lot of little ridges in the wood grain. So if I use paper, those ridges are really going to show, which is okay, but I would rather that it be a little smoother. So I'm going, I do like to go back and add text. This would be a good side to add text in. Sometimes it's just nice to have have the black and white in there to add. Yeah. I like all of my sides to go from one to the other. This was the side that was sticking me, I was getting stuck on because it had no pink, it had no real yellow. It had nothing that really tied it in with the rest of the sides. So took a piece of the vintage wallpaper and cut out a pink flower. And I am going to add that. Wasn't really loving the transition from this pink to over to the blue sky in the church, but I'm going to leave that for a moment while I add some medium on here. Big globs of medium, probably too globby. And I want to start this right at that edge of that trim. So let me get that stuck down there. And I'm cutting off part of the church, but that's okay. Make sure that's stuck down really nice. So now I've repeated the pink on all sides. Got that going on. Now, on each side, I have a touch of black. So I'm going to take this, and this is Tim Holtz paper rolls. I use this little bits and pieces of this all the time. And all of the supplies I'm using, of course, I will have down in my description. So check that out. And I'm just going to add that little bit of black and white to continue along the bottom. Kind of dresses it up a little bit. There we go. And that's delicate paper, so I don't want to rub that too hard. Make sure all my edges are cleaned up. So now I feel like all four sides are working together. Now this guy on the top, I have him, it was a different part of the painting than this, but they blend in really well. So what I'm going to do to finish that off is I found one of my old business cards that had these great little yellow birds in it with the blue. All the colors work. So what I did is I cut those little birds out. And I'm going to add one here because you can't go wrong by putting a bird on it, right? Got that little guy right there, and he's going to blend in. Whoops. Slide on back. Okay. And then I'm going to lay it down. There's a tree branch that comes down, that's coming down. I'm going to continue that with this little bird right here. Get some medium on there. And I'm overdoing with the medium because I know that I'm working with different textures that might need a little heavier medium on them. So it's better to be safe and put enough on there. Yeah, I really like that little guy there. I have in this is sell the house, sell the car, sell the kids. I like it when there's a little bit of a message in here. And I happened to be looking for one while I was cleaning off my table. And I found, let me put that there so I'm not laying that flat. I found, I had a bunch of little flower, things that had texts about flowers. And this one was really good. It says, a scandal among the flowers. A woodland sprite of the rakish kind suddenly made up his mind that he had been so good through Lent, he'd just start out on a pleasure bent. I love that. I thought that was fun. So I want to add that somewhere in this piece. And I think I'm going to add it right here. It doesn't have to hit people in the face. Just kind of a fun little thing to add in. Smooth that out. And yeah, that's perfect. So that finishes that off for me. It's kind of a crazy little piece. And I might come back and add to it. But for now, let me show you how I finish these guys off. I take a piece of sandpaper and I just rough up all my edges. Sometimes I'll even take some of the paper off, go into the paper so that it's not such a clean corner. I like it to look a little bit more organic and not quite so fussy. There you go. And then I will take, let's see what I've got here, what colors I've got. I'm just going to take some ink. I'm not sure this is going to be a color. Oh yeah, this is, what is this? Brushed corduroy. Perfect for these little pink flowers. And it'll just fill in and kind of frame off those edges, especially now that they're freshly sanded. They grab that ink, and this is just a really nice, easy way to finish things off. Make sure I got all my corners. Okay, once that's done, I'll take my cold wax medium and I'm using this mainly because the pieces that I'm using are oil paints, the paintings. So a gloss medium, or I'm not really sure it's going to stick that well. And I really love the feel of the cold wax. And I can take that and I can rub it right over this. It's not going to disturb the ink I just put on, because the ink is a water base and this will help seal it in. And because this is a wax, whoops, a little bit much. And I'm putting this on really thin. Because this is a wax, it's not water and it's not going to reactivate that ink. So we've got all 4 sides there. Now, once you've done this, keep in mind, remember, you're not going to be able to go over it with, and you're not going to be able to add anything in on top of this that is a water-based finish or a water-based product, because now you've got an oil, a coal wax on here, which does not lend itself to water mediums. So I'm going to kind of just brush off all the excess. And then when this is dry, and it'll be dry probably in about within the hour, I'll set it somewhere to dry, and then you come back and you will buff it off with a soft cloth, and it's really going to create a nice luster and a nice feel to the block. So there you go. There's my art blocks. So when I'm feeling art blocks, it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. And with that being said, here's a couple more. I showed you this one in the beginning. Some of them are pretty crazy. This was a little barn that I did. And this was one of my favorites. That one I did wrap around because I liked the way that it worked together. So they're all a little different. And yeah, fun stuff. So I hope you do it. I hope you give it a try. It's really fun. And if you like watching my videos, which I know you have to because I love doing them, help support me in the easiest way is, and it's free, it doesn't cost anything, is subscribe to my channel. I post a studio session every week, so don't be afraid to hit that thumbs up button and let me know that you're liking what I'm doing. And most of all, leave a comment. All of those things help support me on YouTube in a way that keeps me coming back to do a video every week of whatever's going on in my studio. And I really enjoy that, and I really appreciate you doing those things for me, because I'll keep doing these things for you. And thanks so much. Thanks for watching. Have fun with it, and go have an art block.